The night of October 15, 2025, etched itself into Israel's collective memory as the sky over Tel Aviv fractured into a maelstrom of fire and fury, with advanced loitering missiles dubbed loop missiles for their eerie, circling flight paths swarming the nation's defenses like a biblical plague of locusts. What began as distant radar blips over the Mediterranean escalated into a full-scale siege, as Iranian proxies, bolstered by Hezbollah's shadow networks, unleashed over 300 of these autonomous predators, overwhelming Iron Dome batteries and turning urban skylines into infernos. The missiles, evolved from basic shade drones into eye-guided loiterers capable of orbiting targets for hours before striking, evaded interceptors by hugging terrain and altering trajectories mid-air. Their payloads of thermobaric explosives designed to maximize urban devastation. 10. By dawn on October 16, preliminary reports from the IDF tallied 47 fatalities, including 12 children in a Haifa apartment block reduced to rubble, with over 280 injured amid collapsing high-rises and blazing streets. Sirens wailed relentlessly across Jerusalem, Ashkelon, and Beersheba, as the loop missiles looped in deceptive patterns, forcing defenders to choose between protecting hospitals or power grids. A Sophie's choice that left cities in flames and the nation in shock. The assault's genesis traced back to the smoldering ruins of Iran's Natanz facility, where Israel's June airstrikes had gutted nuclear ambitions, killing IRGC commanders and igniting Tehran's vow of asymmetric thunder. Iranian state media, broadcasting from Qom at 11:45 p.m. local time, 2:15 a.m. Israel, claimed the op as eternal loop. A nod to the missile's loitering capability that allowed them to wait out radar sweeps before diving. Launched from mobile pads in southern Lebanon and Syrian highlands, the swarm are estimated at 350 units across the border at low altitude, their composite skids absorbing radar waves like ghosts in a machine. 13. IDF radars at Mount Hermon lit up first, tracking the initial wave as it split into clusters, 120 targeting Tel Aviv's tech hubs, 80 homing on Jerusalem's government district, and the rest scattering to Haifa's ports and Beersheba's military outposts. Iron Dome, that vaunted shield forged in the fires of prior barrages, fired 1,200 interceptors in the first hour alone, downing 210 loopers. But the saturation tactic overwhelmed, with missiles maneuvering in mid-air loops to dodge Tamir missiles, their speeds hitting 200 km per hour in dives. 11. One video, captured by a rooftop cam in Ramat Gan and viral on X by 3 a.m., showed a loop missile circling a high-rise like a vulture before plunging into its facade, the thermobaric blast vaporizing floors. 12:15 in a bloom of white-hot fury that rained molten glass on fleeing crowds below. Chaos gripped the streets as the siege intensified, turning Israel's urban fortresses into battlegrounds. In Tel Aviv, the Azrieli Tower icons of economic might took direct hits at 2:45 a.m., with 3 loopers evading David's sling interceptors to slam into the helical spires, igniting fuel lines and sending flames cascading down like infernal waterfalls. Evacuation orders blared from loudspeakers, but gridlock choked Dizengoff Street, cars abandoned as residents fled to metro stations turned bunkers, their air thick with panic and smoke inhalation. Magen David Adom ambulances, their sirens a constant wail, ferry the wounded and shrapnel victims with lacerated limbs, burn cases screaming from exposed nerve vessel to overflowing ERs at Ashilov Hospital, where doctors trudged under emergency generators flickering from EMP pulses. 12. In Jerusalem, the Knesset compound endured a barrage at 3:10 a.m., loop missiles looping over the old city's domes before detonating amid security barriers, killing 5 guards and wounding 22 lawmakers in underground shelters. The shockwave rattled the western wall, scattering prayer notes like confetti in the blaze, while in Haifa, port cranes buckled under impacts, oil tanks erupting in secondary explosions that painted the bay in crimson, forcing 20,000 evacuations as toxic fumes drifted inland. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, from a fortified bunker in the Negev, addressed the nation at 4 a.m. via scrambled broadcast. "Our defenses are tested, but our spirit unbroken. We will retaliate with the fury of lions." Yet the loopers kept coming, their autonomy allowing them to loiter undetected for up to 2 hours, striking when interceptors reloaded, a tactic that exposed the limits of Israel's multi-layered shield. 15. The human ledger filled with heartbreaking precision as dawn grayed the smoke-choked horizon. Early counts from the health ministry listed 47 dead by 6 a.m., including a family of 6 in Ashkelon's Barzilai neighborhood, their home pulverized by a looper that looped thrice before impact, the blast wave crumpling walls like paper. Among the fallen was Dr. Miriam Levy, a pediatrician at Soroka Medical Center in Beersheba, killed en route to her shift when a missile struck her ambulance convoy. Her last radio call a plea for plasma amid the wreckage. Over 280 sought treatment to burns that peeled skin like parchment, concussions from collapsing ceilings, and psychological trauma that left survivors catatonic in shelters. In Eilat, spared the worst but under alert, a Bedouin encampment took stray hits, killing 4 shepherds and wounding 18. Their tents ignited in the crossfire of misfired interceptors. 14. Social media overflowed with raw accounts. A Haifa mother shielding her infant from falling glass, her ex-post timestamped amid the buzz of incoming loopers. A Tel Aviv student filming from his balcony as a missile looped overhead, detonating blocks away in a flash that silenced his feed. The siege's psychological warfare was as potent as its payload, so citizens, hardened by prior barrages, now faced an enemy that waited, circled, and chose its moment, turning every hum in the sky into a harbinger of doom. Footage from the onslaught, smuggled via encrypted apps and disseminated worldwide, underscored the loop missile's revolutionary threat. Drone cams from Hezbollah spotters captured the lead wave crossing the Golan at 2:20 a.m. Their bulbous fuselage packed with 50 kilograms of explosive glinting under moonlight before dispersing in programmed loops. Ground-level reels from Ashdod showed Arrow 3 interceptors launching in salvos, downing 45 loopers and firing mid-air collisions, but the swarm's density overwhelmed, with survivors diving into urban canyons where radar faltered. 17. Iranian operators, from bunkers in Damascus, hailed the tech as divine circles. Their kits sourced from Russian and Chinese black markets, enabling real-time retargeting via satellite links. President Ebrahim Raisi, in a midnight Tehran address, framed it as justice looping back, retribution for Israel's strikes that had left Iran's air force in tatters. The missiles, evolutions of the FAT-110 with loitering upgrades, flew at Mach 5 in dives, their maneuvers outpacing even the vaunted F-35 escorts scrambled from Hatzrim. 13. This siege marked the apex of a proxy war boiling since the Gaza truce frayed, with Iran's arsenal bolstered by Houthi tech from Yemen flipping the aerial script on Israel. Since April's Iranian barrage that tested Iron Dome with 300 missiles, overwhelming defenses and hitting Nevatim Air Base, Tehran had refined its loopers, incorporating hypersonic elements to evade aero systems. 12. The October 15 assault surpassed that, with 350 units launched in waves, saturating radars and forcing selective intercepts, saving Tel Aviv's core but sacrificing outskirts where fires raged unchecked. Economists in Jerusalem estimated the night's damage at $4 billion, from gutted tech parks to halted ports, a blow to Israel's $500 billion economy reliant on air superiority. The IDF's response loomed, whispers of Lions reckoning too, with F-22 loans from the U.S. and cyber ops on Tehran's grids, but the loopers had exposed a chink at Israel's defenses, once ironclad, now strained by swarms too vast to swat. 15. Israelis, forged in adversity, confronted the siege with a mix of rage and resilience. X erupted with state narratives of NATO-backed terror and dissident cries of intelligence failures. Memes of Netanyahu fumbling in bunkers hitting millions. Protests flickered in Rabin Square. No more loops. Quelled by riot police, while volunteers in Ashkelon distributed masks amid toxic fumes. The Knesset convened emergency at 7 a.m., Netanyahu vowing unprecedented symmetry, his tone laced with nuclear undertones that chilled allies. U.S. President Donald Trump, post-UN talks, tweeted of a missile derby demanding endgame, pledging THAAD batteries within days. 19. NATO condemned the barbarity, rushing jammers to Ben Gurion Airport, shuttered amid threats. Amid rubble, Hope sparked. Fire crews from the north converged on Haifa, hoses arcing against port blazes, while communities and shelter shared stories over lukewarm tea. A graffiti artist in Tel Aviv scrawled a phoenix on a scorched wall, wings looped, yet soaring. For Iran, the siege declared parity. No Israeli city sacrosanct. The skies, once Israel's monopoly, now bristled with looping threats. By October 16th's midday, as helicopters doused embers, the nation exhaled tentatively. Street lights flickered on, shadowing boarded windows and soot-streaked facades. Cafes reopened to stunned patrons, nursing coffees laced with disbelief. Scars lingered, a child's drawing of a looping bird taped to a lamppost, a memorial of flowers wilting in the heat. The attack hadn't toppled the state, but it burned illusions of invulnerability, humanizing abstract tolls. Global ripples surged, Wall Street dipped on energy volatility, Beijing op-eds questioned Tel Aviv's grip, EU aid pledges flowed, with drone tech inbound, while Trump mused on Truth Social about ending this loop lunacy. For Israelis, commuters dodging checkpoints, families hunkering through alerts, the rhetoric felt distant. War, drone augmented, democratized devastation, civilians collateral in a high-tech grudge. Cleanup sifted wreckage, unearthing looper fragments as circuits fused with Persian scripts. Warhead slag mocking IDF SEALs. Observers, barred, relied on exile hacks, mosaic in a conflict beyond borders. In Tehran, engineers toasted, plotting Loop 2 in Jerusalem. Strategists mapped reprisals, doctrine cracked by ingenuity. The flames would cool, but embers glowed, truth as old as siegecraft, no defense eternal. The aftermath transitioned the nation. Traffic resumed slowly, residents adapting to heightened alerts, schools closed in affected zones. Debates raged on linear turning point or provocation. Rumors of border escalations swirling from grainy feeds. The world watched, breath held, as Israel's scars mirrored a fraying truce, setting stage for reckoning. In days ahead, analysts dissected tactics, tallies, timelines. But on October 16th, focus was survival. Air carried burnt metal tang, grim reminder. For Israelis, war no longer distant echo but lived reality, reverberating in cracked windows, whispered prayers. The siege damaged not just cities but psychological barriers, pulling the horizon toward a